Social Security. Should we keep it as it is or privatize it? What do you think? Social Security was established in 1935 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the Social Security Act. And what it was is an attempt to limit what were seen as dangers to the modern American life, especially during the Great Depression, where there was outbreak of unemployment and specifically problems with widows and orphans, and the senior citizen poverty rate was well over 50%. The developments of Social Security, well, when it first started, it was mainly to cover rich white males. And as the later 30s and into the 40s progressed and World War II happened, they began to switch to more universal coverage in 1950. Now, Social Security isn't just retirement. Social Security encompasses many different facets of what some people would call social welfare. There's the federal old age, retirement, and disability insurance. There's unemployment benefits, temporary assistance to needy families, and such things as Medicare and Medicaid to help out with senior citizens' health insurance. How it works. Well, it's a retirement security net for the retired and disabled. There's monetary benefits after retirement. Well, every worker in the United States pays into the system. Essentially, it's people, our citizens, are paying into the system now, paying for the retirement benefits for our senior citizens currently. Now, the way the system is set up is out of every employee's paycheck, they pay 6.2% of their paycheck goes to the federal government, to the Social Security Administration. The employer also matches that 6.2%. So therefore, you have a 12.4% total payroll tax. Most people refer to this as the FICA tax, the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. Now, there are some exemptions, such as people who make over $90,000. This is called the maximum limit. They are no longer obligated to pay into Social Security over that $90,000 income level. Some federal programs, railway programs, and agricultural and migrant workers also are exempt from having to pay into Social Security. The benefits of Social Security. Now, throughout the time in the workforce, your career earnings are recorded. When it's time to retire, Social Security is there to provide you some sort of income to be able to survive. Now, a mix of earnings in retirement age actually determines what your monthly benefits are from the Social Security Administration. If you were born in 1960 or later, the current retirement age is 67 years old. Now, if you retire at 67, you receive the average retirement benefit. If you retire before the age 67, you actually receive less benefits. If you decide to stay in the workforce, there's actually incentives. If you retire after 67 years old, you actually receive more Social Security benefits as an incentive for staying in the workforce longer. Are we in trouble? For the first time in over 25 years, Social Security ran a deficit. Currently, 3.4 workers per Social Security recipient. In 2075, Brigham Young University estimates that 1.9 workers per Social Security recipient. Now, that might worry some people, but Social Security is built to last. Through the good times and the bad times, Social Security is shown to be stable.
It's like I'm about to laugh. I swear to God, I'm about to laugh my ass off.
Just let it flow.
No. Once I get it going, I'll be good. All right.
Let it flow.
All right, ready? All right. All right, no. All right, now we're going to talk about the demographics. In the United States, life expectancy is looked to increase, as you see on the graph. Also, this graph right here shows the current and the projected amount of total individuals 65 and older and 85 and over. As you see, between 2010 and 2030, the amount of individuals 65 and over is expected to spike dramatically. People 85 and over will also gradually increase. Now we're going to talk about birth rates. Since the inception of the Social Security Fund in 1935, birth rates have dropped from 3 children per woman to just under 2. During the baby boom generation, the birth rate was extreme high of 3.68, and by 1976, the birth rate fell to 1.74, and has stayed consistent ever since. In 2011, United States birth rate was 1.89, and by 2060, the projected birth rate will be 1.91. This graph shows the amount of births through the years. As seen on the graph, in times of economic hardship like the Great Depression and the recession, people are producing less children. Look at the amount of babies being born during the baby boom generation. All these individuals will be retiring soon. Death rates. From 2012 to 2050, the projected total number of deaths is 128.4 million. From 1935 to 2010, the risk of dying has dropped 60%. Today, currently, the death rate is 8.4 deaths per 1,000 people. The reduction in death rates is due to successful U.S. public health initiatives.
As you can see by the graph, death rates in the United States from 1935 to 2010 have been steadily declining. Although the number of deaths has risen, that is adjusted for age and for the population, the age-adjusted death rate has been dropping dramatically from 1935 when Social Security was enacted until now in 2013.
SICA. Payroll taxes. Social Security and Medicare payroll taxes are called FICA and SICA taxes. FICA taxes are Federal Insurance Contributions Act and are a tax rate for people who are employees. SICA taxes are Self-Employment Contributions Act, and these are tax rates for people who are self-employed. FICA and SICA taxes are restricted to a wage threshold. The 2013 threshold is $113,000.
Chile system. Although Chile has recently experienced increased economic prosperity with positive real rates of return averaging around 12% for most of the privatized program's history, recent AFPs, also known as pension fund associates, returns have been negative. Because the Chilean economy has not experienced a prolonged market downturn, public reaction under such a scenario is unknown. In addition, most current beneficiaries of the Chilean system are survivors or disabled, and very few have actually retired under this privatized Social Security. Therefore, because the Chilean Social Security system has not yet matured to the point where it must support large numbers of retirees. This program is basically a pay-as-you-go, meaning current payroll taxes for current retirees. Diverting payroll taxes to fund private accounts would drive enormous deficits and borrowing. Privatization converts the program from a defined benefits plan to a defined contribution plan, which can cause a difference in payouts due to inflation. The cons of Chile's system. Chile's AFPs have racked up huge costs to market themselves and generate business, and this cost ultimately gets passed on to its clients. Privatized markets are more risky than the government holding your money, but it is not guaranteed that the government will return your money when it's time to collect Social Security, but it is guaranteed that the government will invest that money in treasury bills. Another advantage of Social Security is that its payments are protected from inflation. I have a few recommendations for saving Social Security. To actually save Social Security for the long haul, all of us must do our part. The most fortunate individuals will have to contribute the most by taking lower benefits than scheduled and paying more in payroll taxes. Meanwhile, the middle income earners who are able to work will need to do so a little longer. At the same time, Social Security must do more to reduce poverty among the very poor and very old who need help the most. And ultimately, the safest and most efficient way to save your money is to just and guarantee Social Security is just simply invest in treasury bills yourself. That way you're guaranteed your money back.
Alright, we got the future for society, or for Social Security. We have 10 proposals that we should know about. Number 1, the rise of full retirement age. This would be a benefit cut, but people in general are living longer, where Social Security was starting people spent 13 to 15 years in retirement. Now the average age is 20 to 22. Number 2, longevity index. Number 3, increase the payroll tax cut. After earning a certain amount, approximately $110,000, the remaining wages are not taxed of Social Security purposes. Intently, the cap was set to cover 90% of all earnings, but with some of today's big earnings relying only about 84% are covered. Eliminate the payroll tax cut. This would totally do away with the earning tax ceiling. For some people, this would be a higher number, and it would also mean the well-off would receive a higher retirement benefit, which they do not really need. Number 5, reduce benefits for higher earnings. Benefit payments are based on portions of Social Security tax pay. A slight scale would greatly reduce benefits for the highest earnings. One suggestion would reduce high earnings benefits for 25 to 15%, while the projected low income, some middle class retirees could be hurt. Number 6, increase the payroll tax rate. Number 7, tax all salary reduced plans. Number 8, cover all newer hiree state and local government workers. Number 9, increase numbers of years used to calculate initial benefits. Number 10, bring means test Social Security benefits. As most people believe, it all comes down to tax increase versus benefit cost. A balance of the two would be the best alternatives. Increase taxes. Increase the payroll tax cut. Raise the level of wage subjects to Social Security payroll to about $200,000, up from the current $113,700. This would bring the taxable wages base in line with rising income among top earnings. Rise the cap even further, setting it at $156,000 per year would tax about 90% of the country's earnings and close about a third of the 75-year shortfall, greatly over 10 years, eliminating the cap from the Social Security. This would mean that 5% of workers who earn more than the cap would pay the Social Security all year, as other workers do. This is one part of the recent poll of American people and was part of the most favorable change. Raise the payroll tax rate. Currently at 6.2% for both workers and employees, which makes it 12.4% for total. This rate has not risen since 1990. A 1% point increase can be phased in over 20 years and still raise enough revenue to close about half of the funding gap. Gradually raising the payroll tax rate by 2% points to 14.4 over the next 20 years will completely eliminate the shortfall. This is another change favored by the recent poll. Change the benefits. Raising the full retirement age to 68, gradually increased it in 2023 until 2028. This would fall in 18% of the funding gap. The earliest age for claiming benefits would remain at 63, but with a reduced benefit.